accomplish.
Yeah, fuck StreamYard. Fuck StreamYard. You need to get this shit together. But I'm on my backup channel. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. 'Cause I'm on my backup channel right now. Fuck this stream. I can't stand StreamYard. I guess it's meant for streaming is meant for I don't know. Maybe it's meant for PC. I don't know. I don't know and I don't care at this point. All I know is out with this shit. I don't know. Maybe when the people come in, they can tell me something different. I don't know. But moving forward, Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, I'm sorry. Donald Trump has completely lost his mind. He has completely lost his freaking marbles.
Will make the people of that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious.
When he said he's running the country, he's just draining all the resources out of that country. The same thing was for Saddam Hussein, the same thing with Osama bin Laden. We all know this. Why are we at this?
Because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly.
Yo, this is nuts. This is nuts. Look at this shit. 15 already. And how many I got for StreamYard? 5. Let's keep going. Let's see what it works.
Broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
Nope.
And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely
You are
happy.
funny.
They suffered. They suffered.
You
So
are
much was
really
taken
funny.
from them. They're not going to suffer anymore.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain.
Hey, real quick question, guys. Real quick question. And this is just quick. How is it different from, let's say, StreamYard onto a phone when it comes to getting people to watch? What's the difference? What am I doing wrong? Am I doing something wrong? Or I mean, which is now we got 60. I'm curious. Am I doing something wrong here when it comes to StreamYard? Yeah, does anybody know? If anybody knows the question, please put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, please. It's just really, but let's move on. Let's move on. I ain't got time for this shit.
This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
What are you explaining the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official
Yes,
to coordinate?
it's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
That would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it.
They're just gonna suck all the oil out of there. That's all they're gonna do, and leave that land dry. That's all they're gonna do.
We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead. You know, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
How the hell are you a dead country? You ain't digged up your own oil. We got oil here in the United States of America. Man, please.
We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Oh, that's kind of funny. While you're doing all that, a year later, people are losing their jobs or have lost their jobs. Employment has gone down. The cost of living has gone up. Thanks, Trump.
Rubio would be.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I
going?
understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. Just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. You know, we're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's, blow up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground.
You know what else is dangerous? You picking with bullies. Actually, you are a bully, but let him mess with the right one. Let Trump fuck with the right one. If you're so big, bad, and bold, why don't you fuck with China? Go ahead. Go right ahead.
It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course,
I'm surprised he even admitted that. I'm surprised he admitted it.
the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
You're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace, and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a...
Oh, okay, but what about the people here in the United States, sir? Sir! What about all your people? What about the farmers that you done suck, the white farmers you suck dry? What about those people?
real country. You can have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country, and they destroyed it. Remember I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly
type it
where
again.
Venezuela
Type
was.
again in the chat. Type it again.
I used to say, if they win, we're going to
type it one more time. Type it one more time.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary?
Yeah, type that shit again one more time in the chat. Then fuck Trump. Oh God. So you're fucking with one of the smallest countries in South America, but you won't fuck with them big countries up there in China and Russia because you're good friends with them. You're the one that sold secrets to China. Oh, you remember his first term, right? His first term, he was buddy with Kim Jong-un of China. You know, the big chunky Asian kid who's just as powerful as Trump, believe it or not. He's gonna shake hands, and then all of a sudden there's a Twitter war. I'm like, man, oh man, oh man. And to Dennis Rodman, shame on you. Shame on you.
Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military troops to provide?
That's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
I bet you. I bet you. Now, I might be wrong. Let me see how much I'm doing on StreamYard. This is terrible. This is freaking terrible. Lisa, Barb, you know where I'm at. It's gonna be in a different link. It's gonna be in a different link. I'm gonna have to do something with this. So I'm gonna end this stream here, and y'all can just come over to the other link. Because this is ridiculous. There's gonna be some complaints. Because this is ridiculous. How do you get this much? And I look on StreamYard, you get crumbs. Like, it don't make no sense. But can't figure it out. Oh well. Oh well. But back to my theory. And I might be wrong. You can tell me if I'm wrong, chat. I bet you some of those Venezuelans were Christians. I bet you so. Just like Nigeria, I bet you some of those Venezuelans were Christians. Since this is a Christian nation, this is a Christian country, culture, and other cultures come over here. Of course, Buddhism, Israelite, blah 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 blah. But ultimately, this is a Christian country. Oil and gold. There's no shit, Sherlock. It's all about oil and gold. We all know that. And he even admitted it. He admitted it while he was over there. But this is the thing. Breaking news. Burkina Faso is closing its doors. And I'm glad. Since you want to freaking act up, we're going to close its doors because we already see the truth. So thank you for Abraham Taribe and the rest of them boys. Thank you for seeing it for what it is. And up your defenses too. Up your defenses. Let's give it.
Done to protect Americans.
Yes.
Are you guys aware of the location of Opposition Leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't.
Mr. President. Mr. President, on Monday.
I think it'd be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So it's not going to cost us anything. We want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what was happening, and you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded and safe.
Show you right.
And we also have to have.
Show you right, Nisi. Show you right.
Real energy, not where you're getting 4% to 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look. It was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year, is going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well, no, we're going to have.
Why do y'all do that? what makes it? Let me ask you a question. Honestly, no, he's the worst president in history. And Nixon is shaking is rolling in his grave right now. Let me ask y'all a question. Why do y'all do that? Can anybody ask me? Can anybody answer me seriously? Why is it that the previous presidents always get the worst slack, but the president here, a liar, a cheat, a manipulator, stealing? He's stealing and stealing shit, and a rapist, I might add. But he gets the most. But Obama, not Obama, not just Obama, but Joe Biden. And believe me, I don't take a liking to Joe Biden. I really don't. As a matter of fact, that prejudiced bastard can go kick rocks with an open toe sandal. But my question is, why does Obama get the most flack? Why? That don't make no sense. If you gonna hate presidents, hate all of them. I told y'all years before, but I never knew y'all. But I'm gonna tell you. For those who don't know me, I often say you don't have to vote nationally. You can vote locally, but you don't have to vote nationally because ultimately they're not going to give you what you want. But Trump is giving white folks what they want. Not everyone, because he is pissing off some white people. He is pissing off some millionaires, and he's pissed off a lot of farmers. But the rest of America, finito.
Presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Whatever, dude. Yeah, this is pissing me off. So, I'm gonna tell you, I cannot collect anything other than Cash App. So if you so graciously, I'm not forcing you to do so, but if you so graciously like to put anything on the Cash App, like $1, $2, $5, doesn't matter. Go ahead and hit that link, Barb, if you so kind as to put that up there if you can. And please do so. Hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. No, your mama broke, bitch. Basically what I got paid twice, so let's not go there. But I'm just saying, if you can contribute, I'm just saying that if you would like, and of course, I'm not those type of people that will go, the only way I'm going to read your comments is if you Cash at me. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people at all. I am not one of those people. But if I was a Trump supporter, but guess what? To all the MAGAs that are in here, if I was a Trump supporter, you would give me money. I bet you would. If I was a Trump supporter, if I was MAGA, if I was a conservative, you would have no problems at all. But at any rate, what do you think? Do you think he's going to turn this thing around, or is he going to be impeached? Is he going to be impeached, or is he going to turn America into a wider place? A greater place. Is he going to turn America into a wider? I'm sorry, Ken. I'm so sorry. Is he going to turn white America? I said it again. White America. Oh, I said it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe it's the ADHD. Is he going to turn America great again? Is he going to turn America great again? No, that fucker's gonna get impeached. Just mark my words, he's getting impeached. That's a war crime. That is a war crime, sir, ma'am, sir. What he just did wasn't announced by the Senate or the House or anything else or anybody. I don't remember them not one time stamping the approval of him going into Venezuela and capturing a person over there. I don't remember that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like dictators. I do not like dictators at all. But at the same time, read my lips. He's going to mess around and try and capture the wrong one. And you know who's going to get hurt? We are. True, we have the biggest, baddest military in the nation. But guess what China and Russia has? The same thing we do. But they got nukes, we got nukes. Or I'm not supposed to say nukes. I'm supposed to say new. I'm supposed to say new because YouTube is whatever. But they got new. So they got new. I can't say the whole entire word. So they got new. Russia's got new. China's got new. Let me see. I think Japan has new. Who has it? I gotta see who has. I will see who has awesome in the news. But Israel has. I almost forgot. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Fuck with Putin. Why is he not fucking with Putin? He's scared of Putin. Why don't he go over to Putin? Fuck with him. He can't. First, he was all shaking hands with Putin, but now all of a sudden they in Twitter wars and shit. He was shaking hands with he was Twitter warring young Chung Jewel from China, and then he went over there. He was acting like a little bitch. Oh my god! How you doing? Because he fears and he knows. And I wondered that thing that he tore down at the White House, that he was rebuilding into some type of model. I don't know. If Barack Obama tore down the White House to rebuild it into something, they would have gotten on his ass a long time ago. But anyway, I heard he was building a bunker. Did y'all hear about that? I heard he was building some type of bunker just in case he was going to start shit with some, and it was going to be, there might be, y'all, alleged, there might be retaliation. There might be some retaliation. So, woo. I don't know, y'all. Y'all sitting here making light of this shit. Y'all sitting here making light of this shit, but keep in mind there are those people who will retaliate. Even though we're gonna win, and we're gonna go to war, right? But let's not make light of the fact that some people may get hurt. This is fucking nuts. This is fucking nuts. Yo, the Greg 72, help me out. The Greg 72, help me out, my brother. What do you think America should do? Before I go into my next thing, which is right above, right into the alley of the person that Trump gotten rid of. Don't worry, she's coming up next. Like, share, subscribe. Go ahead, hit the cash app. Get the cash, yeah. Oops. I need $1. Somebody give me $1 for my coffee fund. I need coffee. I need coffee so I can wake up from this madness. This madness that we're getting into. This madness. This is total madness. We're going to war for what? I don't remember Biden just automatically just nose picking and going, oh, I'm going to fuck with them today. Oh, I'm going to fuck with them today. Without consequences and repercussions. Keep in mind, you're making light of this now, but one day he's going to fuck with the wrong bully. Or actually, we are known for being bullies. But he's going to fuck with the right one. The right one. And the people who are going to get hurt are us. Fair warning. Fair warning. Next, this nut job.
Welcome back. And joining now is Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. Congresswoman, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Tomorrow is your last day in Congress, so incredibly significant to have you here today, Congresswoman. You and President Trump, of course, had an extraordinary break last year. We'll talk all about that in just a moment. But I do want to talk about something you said this weekend in the wake of this attack against Venezuela, removing Nicolas Maduro. You said that the administration's actions were not America first. Now, the president was asked about this idea yesterday. I want to play that clip and get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world.
Why do you disagree, Congresswoman?
Well, you know, I served on the Homeland Security Committee for 3 years, and I am overwhelmingly in support of a strong border. I impeached Secretary Mayorkas. Those were my articles of impeachment that passed the House because fentanyl overdoses skyrocketed to 280% in my own district. And the majority of American fentanyl overdoses and deaths come from Mexico. Those are the Mexican cartels that are killing Americans. And so my pushback here is if this was really about narco-terrorists and about protecting Americans from cartels and drugs being brought into America, the Trump administration would be attacking the Mexican cartels. Now, I am not defending Maduro, and of course, I'm happy for the people of Venezuela to be liberated, but Americans celebrated the liberation of the Iraqi people after Saddam Hussein. They celebrated the liberation of the Libyan people after Gaddafi, and this is the same Washington playbook that we are so sick and tired of, that doesn't serve the American people, but actually serves the big corporations, the banks, and the oil executives. And so my pushback here is on the Trump administration that campaigned on Make America Great Again that we thought was putting America first. I want to see domestic policy be the priority that helps Americans afford life after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. I want to see domestic policies that prioritizes jobs and affordable housing for Americans after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. And I want to see domestic priorities that put Americans first in regards of healthcare. Health insurance costs too much, car insurance, home insurance. And these are issues that matter to Americans. We don't consider Venezuela our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is right here in the 50 United States, not in the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, let me ask you, because President Trump says he gets.
Ain't that much drugs in the world. Ain't that much fentanyl, fentanyl and opioids in the freaking world. And the bomb that and the boat that he hit, it had a lot of fentanyl on that boat, right? That same boat that ran out of gas, right? The same boat that ran out of gas that was, I think, was headed towards Africa at some point. Nowhere near the borderlines of the United States. But we hit it anyway with drones, right? The same boat that got hit, that the survivors went up on the rubble and got hit again. We talking about that boat, right?
To decide what America First means.
We get in trouble.
Does America First mean whatever
We are in trouble.
Trump says it does?
You know, America First should mean
Impeach
what
that
is
dude,
promised
man.
on the campaign trail in 2024. So my understanding of America First is strictly for the American people, not for the big donors that donate to big politicians, not for the special interests that constantly roam the halls in Washington, and not foreign countries that demand their priorities put first over Americans. America First actually means for the American people, and the American people have been put last consistently decades and decades by both political parties for far too long. My kids' generation, my kids are 22, 26, and 28, are looking at a future where this whole entire generation doesn't think they'll ever see a Social Security check. They don't believe they'll ever be able to afford to own their own home. And 50-year mortgages are really a slap in the face. It's insulting. Americans don't want $2,000 stimulus checks as a payoff. They want to have good policies brought forth for them, because you want to know something, Kristen? They voted for this administration, and their small dollar donations should matter. And MAGA has its own enemy list, and the enemies of the world are not on their enemy list, and they're tired of being ignored.
Let me ask you about your breakup with President Trump. Part of that was over this battle over releasing the Epstein files in September. After a meeting with a group of Epstein survivors, you'd held a news conference and threatened to identify some of the men who had abused them. The New York Times Magazine reported that President Trump called you in your office afterwards and, quote, according to a staff member, everyone in the suite of rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on speakerphone. Green says she expressed her perplexity over his intransigence. According to Green, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." What do you think President Trump meant by "my friends will get hurt," Congresswoman?
You know, I've been asking that question ever since, and I make no apologies for standing with women and victims of rape, because in this country, there are far too many victims of rape. All walks of men and women alike have been victims of rape or some type of child abuse. And the Epstein files is significant. And demanding transparency for that should not lead to the president, who I helped get elected and supported far more than pretty much any Republican in Washington. It should not have led to him calling me a traitor. That is absolutely unacceptable, and the American people reject it.
But yet you knew who he was. All those years. All those years that you pumping millions and millions of dollars into his campaign, you knew who he was. Get the hell out of here.
But here's what should be prioritized is victims, and victims of an entire system that protected the rich, powerful elites. And that's what Americans are absolutely sick and tired of. That was part of what they voted for in 2024. They voted to tear down the system that protects the rich, powerful elites. They voted to tear down the system that consistently goes for foreign wars and regime change. They voted to tear down the system that does nothing for regular, hardworking Americans and only consistently props up the big banks, the military-industrial complex, and the oil executives and major industries. And, you know, you want to know something? After this regime change in Venezuela, I fear that we're going to see jobs just move south because we're already hearing about big corporations lining up their trips to Venezuela for the next big business opportunity that exists, while Americans sit here with no options that are going to provide them with good paying jobs and affordable health care.
Congresswoman, let me finally ask you about one of the rifts and concerns in the Republican Party over the issue of anti-Semitism. In 2022, you did speak at a conference organized by Nick Fuentes. He's a white nationalist. He recently said that Hitler is, quote, cool. Let me ask you about your perspective right now. Do you believe there is room in the Republican?
Before we get into that, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I do apologize for the early misconvenience. She should run for president. No. Go Democrat? No. She's not gonna go Democrat. Why? And ruin Jasmine's chances of becoming U.S. Senate? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Can we get a little bit more likes? Can we get a little bit more thumbs up? Thank you. Thank you. I gotta put this link in real quick. Real quick. I will be real fast. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. How many y'all? Yeah. I should have did a poll earlier. How many of you think after this coming November, which is 11 months from now, how many of you think Donald Trump's going to be impeached? Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's going to be impeached. Put a 2 in the chat if he's not going to be impeached. While I do this real quick. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he is not going to, if he is going to be impeached, and if he's not going to be impeached. Let me pause this. We got some 2s, we got some 1s, we got some 2s, we got some 1s, 2s. All right. And we undecided. It's even kill. It's even. It's even. So it's even. Let me see. I think I ought to do it right. Okay. I'm seeing some go ahead and take care share real quick. And who said 3? It was like, oh, you undecided? So we got some 1s, we got some 2s. It's very even right now. Very, very even right now. Yeah, do like, share, subscribe to the channel. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. And become a member of the We-On-Loc Nation channel. Please. Okay, we got what we want. Now, back to this woman here. I never trust. I told you I didn't. I told you about this woman. I told you about this woman. I told you.
Here's my situation and here's my beliefs with free speech. I will always defend the First Amendment and free speech, no matter what kind of speech it is, even speech that I find abhorrent or I disagree with, because I think that it makes us uniquely American. What concerns me is that when we move towards censorship, and we saw that happen during COVID, I myself had my own Twitter account permanently banned because I spoke out against FDA rushed approval of the COVID vaccines. And I spoke out against lockdowns and forced masking. And, you know, when I look at people saying that certain types of speech needs to be censored, and we have been hearing that lately, that raises great concern for me. So I think it's something that we have to take seriously. Is as Americans, we don't have to agree with each other, and we certainly can disagree, but we should overwhelmingly agree that free speech must be protected.
Free speech. So calling a black man the N-word is protecting free speech? Did I get that right? Calling a Mexican a wetback is protecting free speech? Huh, interesting. How does attacking Venezuela help America, and how does giving $40 billion to Argentina help America? I don't know. It's something that you might have to ask her. Because, again, she has supported Donald Trump throughout the years and poured in millions to his campaign, spoken for him for how long, Barb? Lisa? For how long? And this is what you get. This is what you get. You go against Trump. I told you Trump was on the warpath. I told you. I told you when he got inaugurated, he's on a warpath. Anybody who was against him? And we hadn't even talked about the Epstein files yet. Oh, we haven't even gotten into the Epstein files yet. I want y'all to go to my post. I want y'all to go to my post on my channel, and I want you to see the picture. And it's not AI. The picture is not AI. That is a real live picture of Trump and Epstein being together. They've known each other for a very, very long time. But let me continue if I could. Wait. Oh, okay. I'm hitting the button.
Well, let me just, during COVID, you did compare lockdowns to the Holocaust. I understand your point about free speech, but let me press you there because Nick Fuentes has said on his podcast, quote, Hitler was awesome.
That's a misquote. Kristen, that's a misquote. That's a misquote. That's not correct. I compared vaccine cards, being forced to take a vaccine in order to be able to keep a job or buy or sell or be able to be admitted to restaurants. I compared that. I was not comparing. The Holocaust was horrible. I'm not comparing anything to that.
Let me just ask you though, because Nick Fuentes has said on his podcast, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. The Holocaust didn't happen. He also participated in the Charlottesville rally where demonstrators chanted, Jews will not replace us. Senator Ted Cruz says this is a time for choosing. He says if you're embracing someone who says Hitler is cool, you are complicit in that evil. Do you think Ted Cruz has a point that you'd be complicit in that evil to support or in any way fail to denounce what Nick Fuentes has said?
Kristen, I don't know Nick Fuentes. I don't even have his phone number. He doesn't have my phone number. I spoke at a conference of his because it was largely attended by Americans, and I care about that generation, and I went there to talk directly to them. So I really am not familiar with what Nick Fuentes says, whether it's on social media or his podcast, nor do I pay that much attention to Ted Cruz. He routinely attacks me. The things that I focus on is the needs of the American.
But should he be embraced in the
And I'm not
Republican
going
Party,
to get-
Congressman? Is there room for him in the Republican Party?
Well, damn.
Kristen, I don't think that this is about the Republican Party, and it's not about Nick Fuentes. I see this about free speech, and I'm going to sit here and tell you over and over again, I defend the First Amendment. I will defend free speech, whether I like the speech, agree with the speech, disagree with the speech.
So again, going back to what I just said, calling a black person the N-word is free speech. You just said it. Calling a Mexican a wetback is free speech. Calling an Asian a cool or cut or whatever, that's free speech. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Anybody, can you tell me if I'm wrong? You tell me what the proper word is. You tell me. I don't know. I do not know. You tell me. Hold on. I'll tell you what. Before we get to Jasmine, and for those who haven't seen it, I'll replay it again. For those who did see it, you're gonna see it again. Whatever. This is Mr. Nick Fuentes. For those who haven't seen this.
Really, I think that if I wanted to run for office, I wouldn't say a lot of the things that I say. I don't know that a lot of people would vote for me. I tend to offend everybody, even a lot of people that like me. So no, I'm a truth teller. I like to tell the truth. I like to do my live stream.
Who is Nick Fuentes? Tell me about your upbringing. I know you grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Tell me about your early years.
Early how? Like my childhood or a little bit later?
Your childhood, yeah.
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago in LaGrange Park, as you say. My parents are ethnics. My father's half Mexican, half Irish. My mother's Italian. And they both came from a pretty rough upbringing themselves. They both were raised by single mothers, not because of divorce, but because both of their fathers had died. They endured a lot of dysfunction. And I think that's one of the reasons they came together and they related to each other and they wanted to create a normal upbringing for their children. They wanted to have a normal family life. And so they moved out to LaGrange Park away from the city. And they raised me and my sister and really put us first. I think that's a big reason why I tend to have a lot of these
Not such thing as hate speech, just speech you hate. Let me marinate on that.
family values or Christian values. My mother quit her job and stayed at home to raise us. And so I have a very close relationship with my parents, with my sister. We're a very tight family. And we grew up in a pretty idyllic town. And maybe we can sort of get into a conversation about politics from this. I loved my upbringing. My mom stayed at home. My dad was working. We're in a mostly white suburb in Chicago. Everybody was maybe half Catholic, half Protestant. It was a baseball town. I played baseball for many years. In Chicago, we love our hot dogs. We have our baseball parade and get a hot dog. And so I love where I came from. I love the city. It's a working class city. I love the people here. They're very good, humble, down to earth, decent people. And I guess I had my political, not to jump ahead, but this is a big part of where my political awakening came from. I sort of left this bubble, if you could call it that. When I went to college in 2016, I went to Boston University and I read a lot of things online and I realized the country does not look like LaGrange Park. It doesn't look like Western Springs or Hinsdale or Elmhurst. It looks very different. The country's undergoing a radical transformation because of immigration. And so I saw that and I said, this is not really a desirable change. I don't like the south side of Chicago or the west side or LA or certain parts of Boston as much as I like where I came from. And I guess that's what made me an American nationalist. I said, I want to preserve my home and the things that are familiar to me and the things I like about my home, what makes it America. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't know where you want to go with that, but.
So that whole soliloquy was mainly about what he's used to seeing, quote unquote. Guys, I'm gonna get me a drink of water because I feel this is gonna be one of those live streams. So basically what he is saying is America used to be, quote unquote, white this, white that, white, a little sprinkle of black here, a little sprinkle of Mexican here, white. It was like the birds are chirping and singing and dancing and Elvis Presley playing, even though he stole Chuck Berry shit. A lot of things were surfacing throughout the years. It's like we can listen to the Rolling Stones, even though we all know who the real king is. We all know who the real king is. And some will argue James Brown is the king, godfather of soul. God bless. Yes, he is. But without Little Richard, rock and roll wouldn't be shit. With Chuck Berry, rock and roll wouldn't be shit. Rock and roll would not be shit. Now, let me go get a drink of water while you listen to this white boy proclaim how America used to be.
Oh, I suppose my first obvious question is, were your parents immigrants to the United States, or were their parents, or were their grandparents? In other words, at some stage, I presume there were immigrants in your family who came to the US. Is that correct?
There were. I believe my mother was fourth generation and my father was third generation. So their ancestors came here on my mom's side in the 1860s, I believe, the first wave of Italian immigration. My father's ancestors, I think they came around at the turn of the century in 1900.
So your view of immigration, and we'll get to the specifics about your views on immigration, are they not affected at all by the fact that if it wasn't for immigration, you wouldn't exist as an American?
Well, I would certainly exist, but like you said, maybe not as an American. Certainly that's influenced in some measure. But I think that the kind of immigration that we had for a long time in the country, it's different than the immigration that we have now. And let's just say for openers, it's different immigrants. They're coming from a different place with a different culture, a different religion. It's not the same as it was. So first, you have a qualitative difference. My ancestors, for the most part, I have 3 European grandparents from Ireland and Italy, 1 from Mexico. They came from Europe. They came from a society where there's a common ancestry, there's a common religion, common civilization. The people that have come in since 65, since Hart-Celler, they're coming from China, India, the Northern Triangle, Mexico, Venezuela. And so first, they're just different people. Secondly, it's a quantitative difference. There's way more, and it's an unceasing, always increasing wave. For the first 3 or 4 waves of immigration, you would have a major influx of immigrants and then it would stop. And then you'd have another wave and then it would stop. This one, it just keeps going up for 35 years and it's too many. So that's really where I would draw the distinction between maybe where I originate from. I would even just simply call that immigration. What this is an invasion. It's a completely different policy.
But you mentioned you mentioned Mexico in that list, and your father is half Mexican. So
yeah,
I mean, by your criteria, part of the invasion would include your father, presumably, and his immediate descendants who came from Mexico.
Not really true, because when my father's ancestors came here, it was a small fraction of the total immigrants that came from Mexico. I don't believe that we should have zero immigrants forever, or even zero immigrants from non-white countries. But you have to draw the distinction. My father's father, he was here in the 40s and 50s. It was his parents, or I believe either his parents or...
Oops. Wait. I'll fuck up. Hold on a second. I'm back.
Father's ancestors came here, it was a small fraction of the total immigrants that came from Mexico. I don't believe that we should have zero immigrants forever, or even zero immigrants from non-white countries. But you have to draw the distinction. My father's father, he was here in the 40s and 50s. It was his parents, or I believe either his parents or grandparents, that came here even earlier. Up until 1965, 90% of the immigrants were coming from Europe. I have no problem with that. If we have 10% of them coming from Mexico or Latin America, maybe that's reasonable, but that's not what it is now. If now you've got 10 million illegals in 4 years under Joe Biden, and you got millions more legal immigrants from China, India, Venezuela, El Salvador, and it's so many with no break for assimilation, and they're all from non-white countries. It's transforming what America is. And again, that's the distinction. That's what makes it unacceptable.
I always believe everybody's a product of their environment. I've interviewed thousands of people. Maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people from all different walks of life. But the one common theme I would say is everyone's a product of their environment. And I was reading some stuff about you in the last few days. There was an episode of your podcast where you talked about your father, Bill Fuentes, and how he wouldn't take the family, including you, to certain restaurants because he believed they were associated with African Americans. We would be deciding where to go to eat, you said. What are we going to do for dinner tonight? It was a running joke. Me and my sister would say Applebee's, and my dad would say we would never eat at Applebee's. Not in a million years should you be caught dead, Fuentes said about Applebee's. Go to a different restaurant, a local restaurant. No Applebee's, no Red Lobster. That is commonly known as black fare. And you also shared another story about your family and restaurants. You said, before me and my sister were born, my family had a saying about Olive Garden that contains the N-word that we're not allowed to say. So my question, based on that anecdote that you say on your own podcast, is do you think you grew up in a racist environment, that your father was inherently racist, and that thought process moved to you?
Well, I would say it's a new low. I've been attacked for being a racist many times, but to attack my father, to attack my parents based on anecdotes, I would say that's sort of a new low.
Hang on, it's your anecdote.
Yeah, but he's not here to defend himself.
You are.
And my parents are.
You told the story.
And I will. And
I'm not trying to ambush you. As I said at the start, Nick, to be clear.
No, it's not an ambush.
Nick, to be clear, I'm not
understands.
ambushing you. I'm literally reading an anecdote that you revealed on your podcast. It's you that's put it in the public domain. I know. I'm simply asking you whether my assessment of that, which is that your father didn't want to take you to certain restaurants because of what you refer to as, they were commonly known as black fare, whether that attitude to African Americans in that instance permeated to you. It's a reasonable question.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think everybody knows what that is, but I'll address it. I'll engage with it, and I'll defend my father from the...
His father, I believe.
Charge of racism.
Sure.
No, my parents are not racist, and they've never been racist. I'll tell you about my parents.
Bullshit! You just said, this buffoon just said that his father would not go into Applebee's because there were blacks there. Is that racist? Or no?
Chicago in the South Loop, where they instructed people on how to shoot firearms. It was a security school, and most of the clients were black. And I believe actually one of their clients was Larry Hoover's son at one point, sort of a funny story. And so most of their clients would come in from the south side of Chicago. My grandmother, she grew up in the projects in the city. And so my family, being in Chicago, being ethnics, being Italian, Irish, Mexican, in the West Side, on Taylor Street, all over the city. My family for many generations have lived near and around black people. And look, my views about Black people and their views about Black people are shaped with experiences with Black people. And what they will tell you, what my parents would say if they were here, is that for many, many years, the older generations of Black people were very respectful, very humble, very decent.
Here we go.
My grandma used to have an anecdote. She grew up in a lot of dysfunction. Her mother was mentally ill, and they would be having dinner in the projects, and there'd be so much chaos and dysfunction and disagreement and fighting. And she would look across the way out the window at a Black family in the other apartment, and they'd be holding hands around the table saying grace. And this is sort of the culture that used to prevail. But now what we have in the city is that there's no accountability for the Black people. And now Chicago has become a complete dump because these teenagers go out and they take over the city. They call them teen takeovers. That's the euphemism for it. They're teenagers, but they all come from the same neighborhood. They drive up there and they mug people and attack people and they destroy cars and destroy shops. We had the Festival of Lights a couple of weeks ago. It's supposed to be a family event. And they light up the trees and they, there's a big parade. I was in the parade one year and you had a bunch of Black people there shooting each other. 7 people shot, a 14-year-old killed in the Magnificent Mile. And I know there's a lot of Black people that feel the same way about this. They say, we've lost control of the city and we're looking for accountability. We have a lot of Black people that are always outraged about racism, outraged about.
For those Chicagoans, Chi-Town, stand up. Chi-Town, if you're from Chicago, please enlighten me, because I'm not from Chicago, even though I've heard a lot of things about Chicago. He said he's from the South Side of Chicago, which there are some things that do happen in Chicago. The same thing that happens in Detroit, the same thing that happens in Baltimore, right? Of course, half of those things happen on the whim because, your mayors, your governors, your legislators, they all make promises that some of them don't keep. And in the long run, it kind of benefits them a little bit, And this is the reason why you get this. You get all types of mad shootings, all types of family. It's a very small percentage, though. I bet you. A very, very small percentage. But is he going to take an account on how white boys from the South, and even in the North were hanging we're hanging Black people on a whim? Or have you ever heard the hanging game? How many heard of the hanging game? How many in here heard of the hanging game from back in the day? Anybody heard of the hanging game? I know I said it. This is not water, but it's tasty. It's Pepsi Zero. It is Pepsi Zero. How many of y'all heard of the hanging game? The hanging game is based on how many Negroes you can capture and hang. He doesn't say anything about that. He doesn't say anything about white people capturing innocent Blacks and hanging them and decapitating their manhoods or burning them alive or beating them to the blade pole. You never said anything about that. Interesting. But what about your father? What about that? What about your father who said verbatim, and it came from your lips, sir, and I truly believe this because this often happened back in the day, where black folks weren't allowed in the front of the damn restaurant. They were allowed in the back. They had to go to the back and be served their food. Why don't he ever address that? He must be talking about the ones that were real low and, self-esteem was real low and their spirits were real low. Not prideful blacks, not the prideful ones. We're sitting on the dinner table and praying because they were good Christians. I told you before, this America is a Christian nation. So he's referring to Christians. But you had Christians hanging out brothers from trees. If I ever see this, if I ever see this cocksucker, if I ever see this son of a bitch, if I ever see Nick Fullwood, let's continue.
Attitudes from white people, but they're never ashamed of some of these behaviors, never ashamed of some of the things that go on. And that's why I think there's a lot of negative attitudes these days. And so, again, I think those attitudes, you say I'm a product of my environment. I am. And so are my parents and my grandparents. Unlike
Miss
you,
Butterlove, we know what you mean.
In Chicago, we have
Miss Butterlove, we know what you mean.
To live in a big, diverse city where there's a lot of different kinds of people, and everybody in Chicago tell you this.
I live in London. It's one of the biggest and most diverse cities in the world.
But it's not the same.
Well, actually, it's a big, diverse city. The only difference is we don't have the gun violence because we don't have guns. That's a whole different story. I don't want to get into that with you. I have got into that before.
You got a knife problem. You got sword problems.
We have problems.
You have Aladdin.
We have problems with violent crime. I make no pretense of it. So the idea that somehow I'm cosseted in London because I'm not in Chicago.
I didn't say that.
Well, you kind of implied it, but I guess my point about the environment, I'm not saying you are a product of your environment. I'm saying most people are in some capacity. When I read,
no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said and asking you what you meant. Your position about that story is that it was a joke. Okay. I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Need I play this again? If I ever, if I ever kissed, and people say, "Why do you make this a big deal?" Well, let me ask you a question. Let's just say I'm an owner of a shop or something, right? And I'm basically minding my own affairs. I'm minding my own business, taking my kids to the park, and I drop them off home, right? I go back to the shop, do some paperwork. My shit's burned down. I have cameras all over, and they show who had done it. It was some white boys, right? I was like, okay, I expect this. So I rebuild. I got insurance, so I rebuild everything. I see, and it is often said that surprises come in different packages. And then the next time around, when I'm rebuilding and it gets burned down again, it's a black person. Why would a black person hate on me being successful? When often I see if other successful black people have businesses, they often thrive when black people go to those businesses and actually give them their hard-earned money to black businesses. Know your history. How did Martin Luther King get killed? Know your history. How did Malcolm X get killed? Know your history. How did, and this is almost current, how did Nipsey Hussle get killed? How did Nipsey Hussle get killed? How did Fred Hampton get killed? You don't want to get your hands dirty. White folks don't want to get their hands dirty, so they would rather pay one of our own to betray one of our own. It's happened all throughout history. It's not self-hate per se. It's not self-hate per se. It's treason, but it's not self-hate. It is treason, but it's not self-hate. If I were to take money, William O'Neill, if I were to take money to infiltrate into the Panthers, right? Know what they're doing and become that part of that clan. All I gotta do was just take it back to the people who hate you the most, right? All I gotta do is that. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there? That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true. Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. Yeah.
Just to remind you. Just to remind you.
Is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said and asking you what you meant. Your position about that story is that it was a joke, okay? I want to come to something else.
Just to remind you, just to remind you, y'all. Just to remind you.
Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen. They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
But wait a minute. I thought Jews were black. I thought Jews were white. Why does he hate Jews? I thought we like living in a white society. I'm not getting it. Do y'all get? I don't get it. I don't get it. This clown is Nick Fuentes. I'm surprised you didn't know. Have you ever heard of Miss Pearl? Miss Pearly Things? He's worse, but Miss Pearly Things is just as worse.
Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
For all of them.
There are many, but well, I mean, lesson learned. Lesson learned. I don't read into it, even though I should. I'll read into it. I'll definitely read into it. No problem. No problem at all.
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You just said blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny or?
I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood, in the ghetto, and get shot all the time? That's what happens.
And why do you think that is, Nick? Why do you think that is? I'll come back to that in a minute.
The south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son went to Chicago University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west, see what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay, so what was just remind me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage you gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No. Less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder. That's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say 1 in 20 will eventually commit a murder.
So your rate means that commit murder as the official crime statistics say.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming than you would think.
Okay, but you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100, or you wouldn't accept that statistic?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about a year ago. It said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, that's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
sure, a lot of white people commit murder too. Well, they do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%. And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people, and people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a lot.
Wait. 30% of the population, but yet blacks commit more crimes. But even if that statistic were true, which it isn't, you know why that is? Because each and every single year, you move the goalpost. White folks in each and every single corporation, each and every single company, and then you have those, like I said, mayors and governors always moving goalposts and bringing other ethnicities over here to the United States of America, those specific immigrants into the United States, and you're giving them what? Grants? Versus how you're giving us loans? What about those I can't even pronounce it, but what about those those particular jobs that are needed and those people that need to be put on the field. You don't want to train blacks to be in position to feed their families. They're only good for the following. It ain't carpentry, but it's housekeeping, security work, and odd jobs here and there. Not often do you see carpenters, electricians, depending on where you live. You don't see carpenters, electricians, welders, planters. You hardly even see blacks in those positions. You know why? Because you don't like training those people. You can't stand training those people to be on the field. Instead of being in school, why do they need to be in school to be trained how to become a carpenter? I never knew that. I never knew that for the life of me. Electricians, I can understand. Welders, I can understand. Carpentry, you're just destroying and rebuilding shit. I never understood that. And you have to be a certain percentage. Just imagine if a black person was a master at his craft and went on to have his own company, right? Had his own welding company, had his own electrician company, had his own carpentry, and started a union. I was in a union, right? I was in a union. Landscaping, correct. But you see mostly who? Hispanics doing landscaping. You see mostly who? Hispanics doing welding and carpentry, and then you see mostly blacks, and you see Hispanics and whites. What's the percentage? What's the percentage of blacks having those particular jobs? And now that they don't have those particular jobs, housekeeping doesn't necessarily pay the bills per se, but we sure do like them houses. $25 an hour, that's a stretch compared to 32, 34. Get it? Because once you climb in the ranks, trust me, once you climb in the ranks of those particular STEM jobs, I'm telling you, that's longevity, and it builds wealth throughout time. Remember those grants? How many of y'all remember grants? Not grants, those bonds. Those bonds that your grandfather, your great-grandfather gave you, your uncle gave you. How many of those do you remember? It was like $10, $20, and you can't cash it. You can cash them in 10, 20, 30 years from now, right? And they increase in value. Those bonds increase in value once you keep them right. Your grandfather, your great-grandfather, they always gave you. I've gotten grants. I got bonds, excuse me. I've gotten those bonds before. So now you wonder why in Chicago, in Baltimore, and in Detroit, and in parts of California, and parts in Washington, D.C., in parts in Texas and in Florida, there's so much crime in there. There's so much black crime. It's because you aren't giving them the jobs that they deserve. They go to school for 2 or 4 years and get nothing. there are very few blacks who are entering and just clean shit up and just clean shit up. Because that's all they do. They're the cleanup crew. Some of them are you get very small blacks who are the cleanup crew, and you get very small blacks who will actually tear shit up and build shit for them, doing concrete work. Trust me, I know. Man, Fuentes is full of shit.
Property tax. Oh, what's the interruptions? I'm sorry. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look at in Chicago, in New York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just
blah, blah, blah.
If you say, or you like, the idea, I can't ask you about it without you saying that you're a racist. We'll know it from your own lips. That's fine.
There you go.
That's the point. The point of this interview is to go over the things you said, which have led people to reach conclusions about you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not.
If you're delayed, let me know. This thing is for real tripping. Let me know if y'all delayed, because you know you're responding. Responses are like, I would say 2, maybe 3, 2 minutes delayed. It is so it is delayed. Okay. All right. Just wondering. It happens. Nothing you can do about it.
Well, it justified it being racist. Let's take into this.
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means go out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
Can you stand by
that? Absolutely.
At least he's constant.
So white people should go out of their way to avoid black people when they see them.
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's a and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die. If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition. So no, I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York or Chicago, I believe she was in North Carolina, there is a menace, which is young, black, adolescent men. They're extremely violent. And we had been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that. And we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger. And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You look at the BLM movement, they said that the police brutality, redlining, or all these other things, they said we need to get rid of the police. We need to defund them. And a lot of cities did. A lot of cities like Chicago, for example, the police changed the rules of engagement. They don't chase them. It's not a felony if you steal a certain amount of merchandise. They won't chase them on foot. And now the city's totally up for grabs. And that
blah, 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 blah. I refuse to go into all this other. So we're just going to find the complete short. But get the. Sorry about that. I don't know what went wrong. Sorry. Nah, that was me. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but technology, right? Technology at its finest. Technology. Please take some of this shit back. I know. We'll wait a few minutes. Well, while it unfreezes and it just keeps going. Do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. My channel is black. We know that. We know that, but at the same time, you know, screw him for all the work that he's done wrong. But at the same time, why are we going over there fucking with people that haven't been fucking with us? But white folks fear those who aren't pure American bred white. It's been known for centuries. I want y'all to, while I cue up the next clip or so, I want y'all to look at Mississippi burning. Mississippi burning. That is a true story. That is a true story and a true tale. Let me see what I can. Let me see. I'm going to, because I know the shorter version of it. Before we're going to get into a little bit of Jasmine in a minute. A little bit of Jasmine.
In a highly anticipated interview on Monday, British fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Idol maniac Adolf Hitler was fucking cool.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
By his public claim that Nazi leader and genocidal maniac Adolf Hitler was fucking cool.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
Do you think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Fuentes, who has repeatedly praised Hitler and claimed the Holocaust that killed more than 6 million Jews never happened, went on to claim that Morgan's hatred of Hitler and contempt over the genocide of the Jewish people was...
Let me talk to y'all for a second. Let that sink in. For those of you who have white friends, for those of you, I hope y'all don't have white friends who act like this. Keep them near you. Don't do anything crazy. Just keep them near you. Here's why. Because at least they tell you the truth. They tell you that their true nature comes out. You see what I'm saying? So you need to keep those people around. They get their ass whooped, they get their ass whooped. So, but you need to keep those people near you. There's that thing. There's that slogan. Keep your enemies close. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So you need people like that closest to you. So you already know, you're already aware. You're already aware. I expect you to act this way. See what I'm saying? I expect this. I'm not new to this. I expect this. So I expect you to say stupid shit. Just like this whole Charlie Kirk thing, I expect them to say stupid shit. Martin Luther King, he was not a great leader. Why do we have a statue of Martin Luther King and blah 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 blah? No one knew about Charlie Kirk fully until a couple of clips came out and was like, oh, okay, we know who you are. We know who you are. We're not surprised. We're not shocked. We're not shocked at all. We're not shocked. We're not shocked. Your true nature comes out. Your true nature always comes out. But when I also expected them to celebrate your birthday on top of Martin Luther King's birthday. We expected that. You may be a great influence of the whites, but you will never, ever, 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 ever become Martin Luther King. You are not Martin Luther King. He never was Martin Luther King. Thank you, Dave Chappelle. And speaking of Dave Chappelle, real quick sidebar. Does anybody know why people are getting on Dave Chappelle? Is it because of the Israel thing or is it because of the Charlie Kirk thing? I'm not understanding what's the problem here. He's a comedian, he's an entertainer. Well, what's the problem? I'm not seeing it. Can somebody explain to me why that is? Can I know this is delayed, but for those who aren't delayed, can you explain to me why Dave Chappelle was being attacked by exercising his right for free speech and his opinion upon Charlie Kirk and performing in Israel? No, you don't have to. It's not important to me because, like I said, again, he's an entertainer. He's a damn entertainer. That's what entertainers do. I don't take certain things. I don't take certain entertainers seriously. Although he does flip flop from time to time. He is funny as fuck, though. He is funny. And I can't play none of his clips because, again, YouTube is very sensitive and they ain't gonna tell me why I got demonetized. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But he's an entertainer. When he said that, you should have never went to Israel because the reporters got attacked. I was like, well, didn't in Gaza, like 200, I'm paraphrasing, 240 reporters got killed? Like, what the hell? I'll say, it's cool when y'all pick and choose. Oh, it's awesome when y'all pick and choose, right? And then the whole thing with Trump. Let me see if I can get the fuck it. Dave Chappelle. I gotta get it. Oh man, I gotta go to it. On Charlie. And his wife is a trip, boy. His wife is a whole trip. Let me see here. I don't want to trigger. I do not want to trigger. I think I do not. I do not want to trigger YouTube. So let me see.
Charlie Kirk is this generation. And the whites were quick to say this. They said, Charlie Kirk is this generation's Martin Luther King. No, he's not. Yeah, that's a reach. They both got murdered in a terrible fashion. They both got shot in the neck, but that's about where those similarities ended. Because Charlie Kirk is a motherfucking internet personality. No, by design. Fundamentally, he can't function like Dr. King. Internet niggas are negative because they have to be. Because nobody will engage them unless they say shit that makes them upset. That's Charlie Kirk. Could you imagine Dr. King was behaving like Charlie Kirk? Smash that like button and subscribe. Follow me for more content like this. I believe all black people should be free. Change my mind.
From what I found, taking in trans people. Man, he's been talking about trans people forever. All of a sudden, just because he collected money, and then there's certain black people too that get sensitive on this shit. There are way more important things to talk about than trans people. Come on now, that doesn't bother me anymore. The only thing that bothers me is they fuck with kids. That's the only thing that bothers me. There's some stupid shit. This world has turned upside down, and it's because of a couple of people, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Those are the two freaking buffoons that are turning this world, this class, upside down. We do not need to be getting any more old people in the White House. No more old people. No more. None. I remember that time where he had all those people up in the White House in the lawn. And they was strutting and throwing their little flags around and all that other bullshit. That's all Biden. Then Trump gonna make it worse. I just don't understand these people. But anyway, people. I did say that I was going to. Let me see. I did say I was going to do a little bit of Jasmine Crockett. For those who have not seen it, for those who have seen it, don't worry about it. I'm just going to.
All right, y'all. Level set really quickly. Just so y'all know, my staff is actually revived from the dead because it's like a 1700 law, right? So that he could actually kick Venezuelans out. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think that this is the guy that has really cared very much about Venezuelans because he's saying it's such a terrible place, but yeah, we ain't got no space for you. And he's saying that it's so terrible that he had to go in and he had to do this, but we're going to kick people back. Actually, you're making the argument that asylum may have been something that was real that they actually needed. Like, don't mistake for 2 seconds, and he's not even going to try to. I think the Republicans will try to justify this. And so I think that the talking points that they will have will be, this is about the Venezuelan people and freeing them. And this isn't normally what we do in that way. But nevertheless, he has made it clear that this is about oil. Oil. So for all the people that felt like they were voting for somebody who was looking out for them, I'm just saying it's the oil people. I remember the coverage of him having these oil magnets at Mar-a-Lago, you know, $1 million plate fundraiser or something like that. I remember those headlines. I do. I can't tell y'all when it was. It was before the election, but I remember that was a big part of it. And it is clear that some people definitely made out better with their investments than others. And when I say others, I mean the rest of us. Like, clearly I didn't invest in this candidate, but at the end of the day, I actually do feel really bad for people that believed that this man was going to put them first. I do. Now, I know a con when I see one, and so I know what it is, not to mention like his history, but like for people that actually believed and to have this be what they receive is kind of wild. From the Epstein drama to the economy and tearing it apart to getting us into more wars and claiming that you're like the president of peace. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to get to y'all's questions because I'm sure you have more exciting things to do as it relates to this Saturday morning. All right. What are we doing? Okay. What questions do we have? Team, send me questions because I don't know what's happening. All right, let me do it this way. I can check in over here. Oh, y'all are going really fast. CBS News Channel has a reporter who interviews some Venezuelans who are very happy and feeling relieved about Trump's actions. I don't think they truly understand what Trump is really after. America last. Okay, so somebody asked what we are going to do now. So, I mean, I do want to make it clear. Let's go ahead and go through civics really quickly. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. I mean, I've been trying to do my part across the country to keep them from controlling every lever of government, but they control it. And I shouldn't even say that they control it, because basically Trump has consolidated power within the executive branch, and Republicans in the House and Senate, except for a few. So let me be clear. I have not looked, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are certain people that I can rely on that seemingly are always like, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. And it don't matter what Donald Trump is up to, even though they're Republicans. One of those is Rand Paul. So I'm not saying his statements, but I'd almost bet money that Rand Paul is speaking out against this. That is just my guess. As relates to the House side, Thomas Massie came out very strongly against what's taking place, as well as Marjorie came out against the president. So, you know, we go back into the House on Tuesday. Now, whether or not we go back earlier, I don't have any control over that. I just want to be clear. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't have control over that. If we want to make sure that there is a check on this government, that check ain't coming until the midterms. I'm just saying. But what we have seen is we've seen a historic number of discharge petitions that have come live because a very select few, usually only about 4 Republicans, have crossed over to support, say, what the Democrats were pushing forward with. So do I anticipate that we may be able to glean a little bit more support from the Republican side? Maybe. I don't know if we'll get 4 so that we can get somewhere as it relates to at least voting on something. But then who knows what happens in the Senate? I have no ideas about what happens in the Senate. I think having obviously a senator that has decided that he's going to retire. Actually, there's multiple senators that have decided that they're going to retire. So maybe some of those Republican senators that have decided that they're going to retire can find their backbone and say enough is enough. I don't know. I mean, I think that there are people that are finding solace in the fact that no America.
Now that I have snipers, trust and believe they will snipe you if you say slick shit or you say some racist comments. So I watch our mouths. Now, I'll give a disclaimer. You can have an opinion. No racial slurs. None of that shit. And watch what you say about the Queen. Watch what you say about the Queens. Let's continue.
And lives were lost, but they could have been. Just to put that out there. Because, I mean, the fact that we are putting our service members in harm's way because of oil, because I do want to be clear. While one of the messages said something about the Venezuelan people were cheering, at the end of the day, like, Trump wasn't trying to help. Trump is actually going after the resources in that country. I mean, we've seen this play out more than once. We know kind of like what this is. And he wasn't trying to hide that that is his mission. I mean, the fact that we had a U.S. president basically going on and on and on about oil, instead of spending, say, more time trying to solidify what he did behind his bootleg DOJ, you know, and say, oh, no, this was just law enforcement and we were protecting, you know, Americans from the drug lord, even though I'm letting drug lords go every other day because that's what I do. Like, I'm not even really sure why we are in this circular stance at this point. I am very concerned, though, about our service members. I'm very concerned about, you know, if you've watched some of the statements that I've made, specifically, I remember doing a sit down with Brian Tyler Cohen. And this was as Steve Bannon and others were talking about Trump in a third term, and, basically having this philosophical conversation around if this is something that we feel like can be accomplished. And I said that I was very concerned that Trump may try to do everything that he can to make sure that we're at war so that he can then justify us not having elections because we're at war. And so the fact that this is the move that he decided to take here in January of 2026, we know what happens in 2026. This is midterms time. I feel very confident that he is constantly engaging in whatever strong arm tactics he can to prevent having real adults in the room that understand and want to adhere to the Constitution, reigning in his power. Now, if we had, say, a Democratic Speaker of the House, then we could potentially then go to court over some of these things. And we could be asking for the court and seeing where the Supreme Court stands on this. Don't have the highest hopes, but I do feel like, he goes so far that even the Supreme Court every once in a while has a hard time siding with him on some of the things that he's doing. But let me see if y'all got any other questions.
Real quick. This is from Capital Chatter. Monduro says Venezuela willing to negotiate pact, whatever that is. Venezuela is open to negotiating an agreement with the United States to combat drug trafficking. The South American country's president, Nicolas Maduro, says in his pre-taped interview aired Thursday, stated on television, but he declined to comment on the CIA-led strike last week at a Venezuelan docking area that the Trump administration believed was used by cartel. Montaro, in an interview with Spanish journalist, I'm not going to even say his name, retaliated that the U.S. wants to force a government change in Venezuela and gain access to its oil. We all know that. Reserved through a pressure campaign that begins in August. Tracking. Okay. Tracking found more ships turning from Venezuela. More oil tankers are turning away from Venezuela as the U.S. threatens to size vessels transporting oil that's help fund the realms of President Nicolas Maduro. At least several ships had reversed course and halt at sea, according to the ship's moments tracked Friday by Bloomberg. That adds to four others that turned away the immediate aftermath of U.S. forces boarding the vessel Skipper in mid-December. President Trump demanding halt to stay. This is computer shit. No, never mind. So again, we all know what this shit's about, and of course, once you get those oil tankers refining, you get them into Venezuela, pump all the oil out, take them back to the U.S., and then you're rich beyond belief. Now, let's just say, for example, you do take those tankers back. Who is that money going to? The rich! It's going back to the rich. The conservative gift is insane. Why is homie grifting? What the fuck? Anyway.
Because my team is supposed to be texting them to me. So let me see. All right, here we go with questions. Okay, there's a lot of questions. All right, here we go. Let's see. What happens if another country retaliates against the United States? We're at war. We're at war. And honestly, okay. So this presidency has allowed me to expand to the conspiracy world. And the sad part is it's because he's a conspiracy theorist that makes me believe that he could actually engage in some of these conspiracies. So this ballroom, you know, there's been conspiracies around what he was doing with that ballroom, and it wasn't really the ballroom that he was looking for. But as he was in his press conference, he was attempting to say that the president was trying to go into a safe room. He said a safe space, I think is what he said. But he was talking about a safe room is what he reported out. I believe that he is trying to get a bunker of bunkers built right now. And it is because he knows that there will be retaliation, or at least people around him, even if they're going along with it, are educating him on the fact that retaliation may come. And I just don't think he cares about the rest of us. Like, this is at the same time that obviously we know the tax subsidies for healthcare have expired. They don't care. Like, I mean, you know, this is at the same time that we know that the impact of the big ugly bill is about to be felt. We know, like, I just don't feel like he cares enough about us to worry about anybody retaliating. And I also am concerned about the fact that our relationships with our allies has been strained ever since he got back into office. And so this isolation stance that we have may really cause us to have some problems. Let's see. How can the USA support Venezuelan civil society, journalists, and political dissidents in this moment? That is a good question. I think that we all need to, you know, it's interesting that I don't know how many Americans are really that interested at this moment in supporting Venezuelans, because they've been like attacking Venezuelans since day one. It was kick them out of here. Then it was bombing and shooting up, you know, what they allege to be drug boats. But many have argued have literally just been fishermen. And now it's this. Like the escalation has been so wild, and it has been undocumented. It is hard to imagine that people who potentially sat on the sidelines and didn't have much to say about those first two steps would be that concerned. But for those that are concerned, I think that it is important that we share their stories. And I think it is also important for us to have conversations with our Venezuelan friends and neighbors, right? I know that there's been a lot of reports that Venezuelans, like I believe in Miami, have really been celebrating. But the question is this real liberation, right? Is it going from one dictator to another? Or what's happening? And will this dictator be worse? Like, I think that those are the questions that people aren't really living out in this moment. And again, as Americans, it's not so much about like whether or not you like their leader, right? Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of people that don't like Trump at home and abroad. I'm gonna just point that out. It's a lot of people, right? But in our democracy, this is not how we function, where we allow one individual to then just sink us into war. Like that's not what we do. And that's essentially what it feels like he's done. Now, the briefings historically, as it relates to the boats, ain't been worth very much. So we will see, but I anticipate when we get back that there will be a bipartisan demand that we be briefed on what took place, because that has not happened. And again, we go back in on Tuesday, January 6th of all days. Okay. But I do think we need to talk to our Venezuelan friends here and abroad. And if you are aware of Venezuelan journalists, make sure you're amplifying their stories on social media if they're independent versus propaganda, because we got a lot of propaganda in the United States as well now. Another question. I'm concerned about the harm to innocent life and civilians. While we may have issues with the government, I'm deeply concerned about harm to private citizens and civilians. Yeah, we're not even getting reports about that part. We've only received reports of Americans that went in as our service members, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and hopefully my staff will catch it. At this point, we've not been given any information other than they were looking at a possible additional attack that would have been bigger, and that we know that the president and his wife allegedly are safe, but we do not know about the status of others and civilians. So hopefully with some independent journalism, we will learn in the coming days, but I don't even think anybody asked about that during the press conference. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I may have missed that, but I don't think that anyone even asked. I will applaud those journalists that were there at Mar-a-Lago, because they kind of like piggybacked on each other. If you saw, they were continuously pressing like, well, who is it that's going to run the country? Like, because he said, we're going to run it. It's like, who is we? Like, who is we? And like, they kept pressing, and they were asking about whether or not troops were going to be on the ground. And it seemed like they were potentially saying that like troops were going to be there, but more so just to look after the oil. That's kind of what I was left with. I don't know if there's been any further explanation of that, but that was kind of like the gist of what I was picking up from what he was saying, which again does nothing for those civilians or citizens or innocents that are in the country. What safeguards should be in place to prevent retaliation against protesters or opposition figures? I don't know. First of all, I don't know if this is from the perspective of here at home or abroad, because these should be concerns for both. Obviously, I just talked about how our service members may end up being on the ground to protect oil, it seems like. And so we've got to be concerned with the safety of our service members from those that may try to retaliate. But also at home, I remember when we had our other situation, I basically was like, if you're going to any large gathering, be very like clear of like your surroundings and just kind of be on high alert. I think that is a good stance for us to have here in the coming days and weeks, is to just kind of be very cognizant of large gatherings of people in general, because I would imagine that if any retaliation would take place, it would be in order to really make a statement. So definitely just be very cognizant of where you're going and how much security exists. And, from a federal government standpoint, I think it is important for us to at least emphasize that as we have some of our large gatherings, which we have a number of them that are about to come up, I won't name them, some of the biggest gatherings that we have, just making sure that the security around those are even tighter. And then I get into concerns about our intel, because again, not having as close of relationships with our allies, or them just not trusting our ability to safeguard intel, causes me concern for how much information we're actually getting from people that typically have been our friends. All right. Let's see. People are happy and relieved because of Maduro's harm. How should U.S. leaders acknowledge that pain while still prioritizing democracy?
Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? It's been hectic for the last couple of days. But lo and behold, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. That's why this woman needs to be in office, in the Senate seat, not in the Oval Office. Not quite just yet, but I wouldn't hold it if she were to run after 3-4 years down the line, President of the United States of America. But how many men, again, how many men would vote for this woman to lead America? Once Trump is gone, once Trump gets impeached, and he will get impeached, JD Vance is going to take over, and I don't care too much about JD Vance. Once he takes over, then it's all clear. It's all clear sailing from there. All clear sailing from there. So I was just wondering if you was just still around. Stick around, because it's going to get more interesting a little later on. A little more interesting.
Oh, boy. I think this is a really good question. Again, I started this off by acknowledging that that there are people. I mean, frankly, a lot of the allegations that are being waged against Maduro, there are people that are waging those same allegations against the current president. I just want to be clear about that. And it is not. First of all, I think that what we have to do is make it plain that this president could care less about the Venezuelan people. That ain't got nothing to do with why he did this. And again, there are dictators and bad guys in a lot of countries. And so now are we saying that the United States is about to go into every single country and start nabbing all of their presidents? That's not a thing. And at the end of the day, Congress has to be involved. We don't live in a dictatorship, and he is doing things that look really a lot like a dictator, because going in, and he did this with the help of the Supreme Court, to be clear, going in and taking someone else's leader, regardless of how you feel about him. I have no backup to give to Maduro. I do want to be clear. But going in, taking somebody's leader, no matter how you feel about them, and his wife, and completely dismantling their government, and then saying, I'm going to oversee all of your resources, that ain't about the people. So I think that what we need to do is, I don't think that people should be going and pretending that Maduro was some amazing human. That ain't our job. Our job isn't to cape for Maduro, but our job is to be clear about who we are in this country, and that this is how you end up with the Maduros of the world. This is what we don't stand for. So I think that, we can't allow us to get into a stance of the ends justifying the means, basically. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Lord. They are really going on. Okay, sorry. Let me do a couple more, and then we will end this live so everybody can get back to their Saturday. how do we center the safety and self-determination of the Venezuelan people without repeating the mistakes of the past U.S. regime change interventions? There is no rule of law in this country or respect for the Constitution. What can Congress do about it? I think that is the important part, is that if this was the goal, then I think that we'd have an agenda and we potentially would not make the same mistakes that we've made. But like, the agenda has nothing to do with like doing a regime change so that there could be actual self-determination of the Venezuelan people. This is an oil grab, period. Like, this dude is like, oh yeah, the oil companies from the United States are coming in. And I think that that's what makes this a little bit more complicated, because that's not what, like, the reason he didn't come to Congress is because he wouldn't have got the authority. He wouldn't have got the authority to do this. He needed the flunkies that were standing up there with him. That's what he needed. And he needed a Supreme Court that would say, hey, you can't be prosecuted for anything here. Like, yeah, no, like, just do whatever you want to, right? And he is taking full advantage of this bootleg, situation that the Supreme Court has made for us. So, this is about whether or not Congress actually finds a backbone. So again, I probably can count 2 people on the Republican side that potentially will sign on to get something done. I will also say that on January 31st, we will have our longest vacancy finally filled. It would have been almost a full year that Congressional District 18 in Houston has been left without representation. That is half of an entire term that they have not had representation. But as of January 31st, they are going to elect their next representative. And so we should be able to get that person to DC. So then we don't need 4 Republicans. We need 3 Republicans. So I know that we've probably got 2 on board to start to do something in the House, but the Senate is a problem. Again, your girl is running for the Senate for a reason, because a lot of our issues, even when we can finally get somewhere in the House, we can't get anything done on the Senate side. So I can't speak for, again, I feel like I can count on Rand Paul. And again, y'all can let me know, but I can probably Google right now, and Rand Paul is probably not with the shits. Because, I do feel like there are people that really believe what the core of the Republican platform is. And then there are people that don't have a belief system whatsoever, and they just do whatever Trump tells them to do. Kind of like our current senator, who's just like, hey, let me just be in the building. And frankly, that doesn't work for our country. And this is why our democracy is truly crumbling before our eyes. All right, so, okay, this is a good question. November is only months away. What is the strategy to win back Congress so that actions like this invasion can be checked? So again, obviously Trump is still doing his bidding with these state houses and state senates and governor's mansions to try to rig the system. Kudos to Indiana for saying, fuck you. Kudos to California for saying, we're going to fight back. Definitely kudos to the Trump justice who wrote the 160-page opinion denouncing what took place in Texas. And fuck you to the Supreme Court for what they did. As well as, we'll see what happens in some other places. We are swinging seats no less than 10 points around the country since he has taken office. So what's happened is I think there are seats in Texas that are in play that typically would not have been in play because of the way that they drew the lines. So if there is a seat that went for Trump by 10 points or less, in my estimation, it is in play. And as they have played these crazy lines all over the country, North Carolina included, trying to give him yet another seat after North Carolina is the reason we don't control the House in the first place, I think that they're drawing those seats too tight. So I think that what's going to happen is they're going to be in for a rude awakening. I stand with Pelosi, as Speaker Emerita has stated over and over and over. She believes that the Democrats are going to take the House. I think so too. This can't just be a belief, though. We got to do the work. So we got to get out there. We got to talk to our friends. We got to talk to our neighbors. We got to explain to them why they personally may not have a job right now, why personally their wages may be stagnant, why personally they may not be able to afford health care, why personally their loved ones who were historically in, say, a nursing facility is now going to have to come and live with them because there's no funding that is available for them. They now are going to have to, have conversations with those people that are losing their small businesses, even those at the big businesses. We saw what happened with Tyson in Nebraska. We're going to have conversations with those small towns where these manufacturing locations are shutting down or where they were supposed to open up and they're just not going to open. We're going to have to get very real about the fact that there are so many people that always want to say things like, I don't do politics. And as my sorority sister, the incomparable state representative, Tony Rose, always says, you may not do politics, but politics will do you. We're going to have these real conversations. And if you have a service member who is a loved one, an uncle, an auntie, a sister, a cousin, a mother, a father, we need to talk about the fact that our foreign relations and our relationships are all jacked up. Is like putting them at risk. Right now, every single day that he is in office, these service members are being put at risk. Mind you, this is the same administration that decided that it wanted to try to threaten sitting members of the House and the Senate, and they decided they wanted to go after Mark Kelly specifically because they literally just wanted to recite what it is that service members are not supposed to do. This is like written. So like, I just like, I don't know how to convince people that some things are bigger than a political affiliation. And right now, if we can't convince people in this country that it is bigger than a political affiliation, because the last time I checked, this is not the party that is pro-life. We know that when they illegally cut off funding for USAID, that has cost hundreds of thousands of lives. We know that for the first time, at least that I've been in Congress, we had our Congressional Budget Office, also known as the CBO, trying to predict how many deaths were going to come as a result of the big ugly bill. We also know that we have seen constant reporting around the fact that women are losing their lives.
Bruh, he's pissing people off. Trump is pissing people off, including white people. Are you that dull? Just explain that to me. Are we that dull? And a lot of people are losing their jobs. Can you explain to those people who don't have jobs, who have lost their farms, who are homeless at this point? Can you explain that to me? Cry about what? Just because he went to war with a small southern country. What? Again, go to war with China, see what you get. Go to war with Putin, see what you get. Y'all MAGAs need to stop talking so much shit. They don't mean shit.
In record numbers, because of their policies and what they push forward with this insane and terrible Supreme Court as it relates to reproductive access. So like, I just want to be clear, people are dying. Not to mention we have a record number of deaths of people that have been in ICE custody. Record numbers for last year. Not to mention when we're looking at our farmers and ranchers, we are experiencing record numbers of suicides by them right now, as they are also experiencing record numbers of bankruptcies. Listen, there is some bullshit for everybody. And so, like, to me, it's just time out for playing games. Like, this ain't about whether or not the next politician is going to be your bestie. This isn't about whether or not the next
What was Mandoro arrested for? What crime did he commit in the United States? What crime did he commit in the United States that triggered Donald Trump's dumbass to fuck with Venezuela? which, by the way, had no business in Nigeria. But you tell me what crime he committed. You go ahead and you tell me what crime.
Politician excites you, the most and gets you all jazzed. What this needs to be about is whether or not you believe this politician gives a damn as to whether or not you live, as to whether or not there is going to be a country where your children and your grandchildren can live and thrive. This isn't a...
He didn't arrest them. He didn't arrest the people on the boat that he blew up. Why didn't he arrest the people on the boat? Hello? Why didn't he arrest the people on the boat? He blew the boat up once and then blew the boat up again. Dumbass Trump supporters don't even know who, most of you motherfuckers don't even know who Trump is. Most of you are young, dumb, and full of cum. Don't even know who Trump is. He's not even a politician. He's a realtor. A bad businessman at that. The only reason why he's in politics because his racist ass couldn't even stand Obama. The fuck?
About finding the perfect person. This is about finding people that actually have courage to do what is right. And when I say people, I mean that.
Bunch of idiots.
I do not agree with Thomas Massey on a lot of things. I do not. I don't want to put it out there that we do. But at the same time, this motherfucker got a backbone. He stands for what he believes in, and he doesn't fold no matter who you are. So I don't know. It's gonna take doing more than oh, I did my part and I went and voted. You need to find that candidate that you're you know what, I believe in you. So I'm going to make sure that I go knock some doors. I'm gonna make sure I send some text messages, make some phone calls, and if I got a little extra $5, $10, I'm gonna send it off to you because granted, while I love to go and have happy hour, I'm gonna need to go ahead and sacrifice this happy hour for this because it's bigger than that. It is so hard for me to understand how we got here. But more importantly, it is so hard for me to conceptualize if we can't save us. That would be the most.
Again, whose ass is he kicking? Whose ass is he kicking? Did he take over China? No. Did he take over Venezuela, a small southern country? Of course. Can he take over Brazil? Possibly, maybe. Can he take over Russia? No. Not with you're asking to risk the lives of American citizens. That means you dumbass. Do you think Donald Trump really gives a fuck? Do you think Donald Trump really cares for you people? Do you really think so? What has he done for you thus far for your families? What has he done? What has he done? Has he done anything for your families? Has he done anything for your kids? Has he done anything for the United States of America, period? What has he done? What has he done? Oh, I get it. He gave you a little small stimulus check. A little small $600 stimulus check. Ooh. And promised. Oh, I almost forgot. Where that $5,000 stimulus check? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely. Well, what about that $5,000 stimulus check? I looked in my mailbox, didn't even get not one damn check. Where my stimulus at? Where my stimulus at? Where it at? Ain't nowhere to be found in this day and time. Y'all go cuckoo for a Cocoa Puff. I guess I got talk like this. I got go cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Are y'all serious? Tell me I gotta go Booker T. on this one. Tell me y'all are not serious. And Booker T, you better vote for Jasmine Crockett to get in that seat, my brother, or else I'm gonna take your card away from you, you and your brother. Letting y'all know now. If you don't vote for Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate, I'm taking away your card. Point blank, period, in the discussion.
Most disappointing part. Now, let me tell you, currently, if we're looking at the trends of the elections, we are doing good. We are absolutely doing good. But we cannot afford to get comfortable whatsoever, and we have to keep up this energy. We have to remain focused and not be distracted by all of the bullshit that they will throw out there. They're going to do everything that they can to distract and divide, because distraction and division is how we ended up in this mess. I'm going to need people to be laser focused. And if anybody starts to get or divided over bullshit, like, I'm going to need you to remind them, whatever that distraction or division is, that like we are all in a sinking ship right now. And if we don't decide that we are going to start to collectively get this water out of the boat, and we all are going down, regardless of where you stand on, oh, well, I'm a Christian. I am too, boo. And my Bible don't say that none of this is right. Like, that's just what it is. I'm just saying. So I don't want us to get caught up in that, because this man knows nothing about the Bible anyway. So I don't even understand how Christian evangelicals decided that this was their guy. Like, I really don't. Okay, let me do two more. Let me find them real quick. Because I know y'all got better things y'all want to do. Now to make sure this, it's a good question, but I don't know the answer. Let's see. How did you understand it while standing up to, okay, this is a good one. Okay, these are a lot of great questions. Okay, so, okay, this is very good. This is very good. I'm gonna.
Lisa putting in work. Jesus Christ. What is this dude? She's Thanos right now. She is Thanos. It's just snapping fingers. Get out of here. What's going on, Lisa? What's going on? Barb, what's going on? What's going on? She's going like this. What you say, man? It's snapping fingers. Oh, well. Maggots do hurt. Jasmine that's delusional. Okay, tell me something, and Lisa, don't trip. Let me get this question out to all these maggots. What? How do I say it? Why do y'all hate Jasmine so much? Why do y'all hate Jasmine so much? I just need to know. What? She ain't give me no pussy? Let's just come out and say it. She ain't get you no box. What? Did any of these women give you no box? What has she done? She just started campaigning. She just announced weeks ago that she is running for U.S. Senate. She hasn't came out with anything yet. Give her time. If she was still in the House, she can make certain decisions, certain ones. Juniors can only make certain decisions. She's been in Congress. Junior. Do you know what that means? Junior. Lisa, can you break? You're more knowledgeable than I am. Barb, both of you, break down what that means. There are many levels to Congress. There are many levels to Congress. But then again, you can only get what? There's only 2 Senate seats. She's a bold, bright, black, and beautiful, ain't she? She can only do but so much. She can vote. She can absolutely vote, and she has records where she has voted for some shit. But now she has a bigger fucking role, which I don't think any of you understand that quite just yet. There's correct senior senator, and then there's junior senator. She's only 44, about to turn 45 years old. And with that, you have to be at least, I think, in your 60s to be a senior. Right? You have to be, 60 to be a senator, a senior senator. For her, it's junior because she's 44. Oh my goodness gracious. No, brothers like you, quite frankly, y'all just a bunch of losers, to be perfectly honest with you. Y'all just a bunch of looters, and y'all tanking quick just because y'all don't get the respect that you deserve. And you wonder why this woman's going to be in office. And when she does get that seat, I'm going to laugh. And one of these days, if they appointed Kamala Harris, I hope, you know what? I hope Kamala Harris wins. I hope Kamala Harris wins. You know why? Because I'm sick of you Negroes. I really am. Because one, you go against women. You don't like women, for some of you, not all of you. Some of you don't like women. Some of you don't like women in it being in positions of power. So this is what I'm gonna do. Next time, next election, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Just to see the look on y'all faces. And if she wins, I hope to God she wins. Gavin Newsom most likely will win. But I hope to God that she wins. I hope she wins. Just to see the look on your face. Just to see the look on your face. Just to see the look. And I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked. I'll just stand there like this. Again, what can Jasmine Crockett do? She can't do anything she can't do anything yet. She's going around campaigning. She's campaigning through, she can't write a fucking bill. And are you one of those FBA motherfuckers? If you are FBA, please get the fuck out of my chat. If you screaming that FBA bullshit, please get the fuck out of my chat. Because I'm getting sick of you motherfuckers right about now. Kamala Harris and it might happen. You know what? Hey, Duncan, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, my brother. Guess what? If Kamala Harris wins, and she appoints Jasmine Crockett as vice president, I won. I won. I won. I fucking won. Why do you don't like FBA? Motherfucker, y'all knew. Y'all knew and terrorizing people who look like you. I do not respect people who are fake and phony and go around terrorizing other people who look like you. They just speak a different language. What the fuck is going on up in here? But anyway, we losing concentration here.
I'm gonna do this. In moments like today, leadership isn't about outcomes, it's about guardrails. What guardrails are missing right now, and how would you fix them as a senator? This is such an excellent question for a million different reasons. All right, so
I can track my lineage all the way back to the 1800s
talk about
by a piece of paper.
Power in the Senate. We know that the Senate only has 100 members, and so your power is next level from what it is in the House, where there's 435. We call it the upper chamber for a reason. And so when we are looking at flipping the Senate, it's always more difficult. Like it's a difficult balance. And we have things such as the filibuster that may need to be challenged. Put that out there under certain circumstances. And I think that, if we can have filibuster carve-outs for.
Well, hey, talk it up with your leader. I believe his name's Tariq Nasheed. Talk that up with him.
Things such as our budget, I don't see how we can't have a filibuster carve out for democracy in and of itself. So I have been a large proponent of kind of reminding people of how I got here in the first place. And for those of you that don't know, I was in the Texas State House, and I was a freshman when I was there. And when I was in the House, the Republicans decided to attack voting rights. And as a civil rights lawyer, it didn't sit well with me, knowing that I was still only the 22nd, lucky number 22, the sorors will understand that, 22nd Black woman to ever swear into the Texas House. And my predecessor was actually one of two, because we had two Black women that swore in at the same time, and they actually swore in, with Sarah Weddington in 1973. And the reason I bring up Sarah Weddington is because I'm not really sure how many people know that Texas was really a good state. We were doing good things for the country. Sarah Weddington was a young lawyer who had argued her first case in front of the Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade. So here it is. My congresswoman at the time, Eddie Bernice Johnson, swore in along with Symphonia Thompson, who we call Miss T, who is still serving over 50 years later in the Texas House. So here it is. She calls me up and tells me that I need to run, but this is after we had a very dramatic session. We broke quorum. For those of you who know anything about Texas politics, there is a state rep by the name of Trey Martinez Fisher. Trey Martinez Fisher has been like a mentor of mine since the day that I swore in. And most people don't know that the reason Trey and I were so close is because there is a judge in Dallas County, Judge Tillery. So Judge Dale Tillery is one of the best judges that I've ever had to appear in front of. And Judge Tillery became a bit of a mentor to me because Judge Tillery actually got his political career started in the State House. And as luck would have it, Trey Martinez Fisher was swearing into the Texas House, and Judge Tillery became his mentor too. So we shared this mentor, and as all of serendipity would work out, I actually ended up sitting my freshman year in Judge Tillery's desk. Of all the 150 desks, that's the desk that I ended up in. And the reason that I know is because there's a Bible in every desk in the Texas House, and the members sign the Bible. Hopefully I signed it. I think that's but the members signed the Bible. I'm trying to remember now. But as I look back, it tells you like who all is sat in that desk. And so Judge Chillery has sat in the desk. So anyway, so Trey Martinez Fisher, when he came in as a young member, he actually was a part of the last quorum break that they had in the Texas House. And so for me, I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe they're doing this. There has to be something. And it was Trey Martinez Fisher who was giving me history. So this is why I have always been very deferential to senior members, because there's always like value in knowing like what is taking place and that kind of stuff. And I've always had senior members that have honestly poured into me. And so Trey was giving me the background. I was like, well, we need to do that again, right? And so myself, Gina Hinojosa, Trey, a number of other people, we like pulled together kind of this small coalition, like, yo, we need to try to break quorum. Because this is the only way that we can stop this and bring attention to what's taking place. Fast forward, that all took place, and most people came to know me because of our fight over voting rights. The reason that I say that this has to be an integral part of what the next senator from Texas decides to do is because we don't get any of our other freedoms. We don't get any of our representation. We get nothing if we don't say, you know what, we got to push forward and make sure that there is a carve out specifically for democracy and fortifying it, because it has been exploited under this administration. That starts with making sure that the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, as well as the Freedom
Dispatcher, you're such a hater.
The Vote Act are passed. These are measures that Nancy Pelosi ushered through the House, and then they went nowhere in the Senate. We have to get them passed. So for all the states that are on edge, not knowing what the lines are going to be, and Trump is calling everybody, telling everybody to switch it up, change it up, that would not be happening if we had the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act passed. And I think that if you care about healthcare, if you care about where we stand on foreign affairs, if you care about jobs, if you care about the tariffs, if you care about the Epstein files, whatever it is that you care about, you can't get there unless you are allowed to select your representatives versus your representatives selecting their constituency. And the thing about things like a Senate race, it is the great equalizer. Like, this is your opportunity to make sure that everyone has an equal say in who is elected. Unlike a congressional district, you can chop and screw it and minimize voices, but every single voice, every single vote counts exactly the same by the time you go to a statewide. So for me, I think that what we've got to do is we've got to consider expanding the court. I've got legislation that I've signed on to. I'm a part of the task force, the Supreme Court task force. Hank Johnson out of Georgia, as well as Jamie Raskin, as well as Madeleine Dean, and others. We are part of this Supreme Court task force. And so looking at things like an actual ethics reform or an actual ethics being in place for the Supreme Court, that means that when they are actually conflicted out, that like we have a way of making sure that they are out, instead of them just being like, oh, I don't feel like I have a conflict, I'm good. We need something stronger than that. And every other court has that except for the High Court. We need so many more things out of ethics when it comes to Supreme Court, but we also have to make sure that we are potentially expanding the court. And another bill that we filed is term limits. The term limits would be 18 years on each of the justices. This ensures that we actually have turnover of the Supreme Court instead of doing things like what Trump did or what McConnell did, where he was holding out spaces. So I just feel like there are certain spots on the Supreme Court that were illegitimately gotten, for sure. So I think if we're going to shore up our democracy, we have to first start by shoring up the checks and balances. And so that starts with the Supreme Court, as well as it is only the U.S. Senate that actually.
What the hell do you want her to do? You still haven't told me why you hate her so much. And so the other question is, what do you want her to do? What would you like for her to do? She already talked about bumping up the minimum wage. So what do you want her to do? What would you like for her to do? Oh, I know what you want her to do. You want her to give y'all reparations, right? Y'all want her to get, you want her to be responsible for, even though if she gets in the office, if she gets into the Senate seat, she's going to be responsible 30 million more, or 30 million, well, she's responsible for 80. So 30 more million lives. Yeah, not 30. 30,000, my bad. 30,000. Kick rocks. You're racist. Yep, you're racist. You're racist and sexist. Yep, you don't like women. You do not like women. So, what that mean? Black folks don't even like her. So what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Black folks don't even like Jasmine Crockett. She got long fingernails. She talks street. She talks hood. But yet you want to fuck. But yet you want to fuck her, right? Wrong. I was right. 400. I was right. 400. So it would be 4. Okay. So it would be 400,000. Okay. 400 million. My bad. 400 million. So she would be responsible for 30 million more lives, right? I would say if you're doing that, then you might as well have just took in the whole tray and just say, fuck it, I'll just run for president and run up against Gavin Newsom. But at this stage, I don't know. I don't know. I would campaign for it, but I don't know how far it would go. Because we're talking about just people from Texas alone. Right? And they say 85% of black people in Texas will vote for her. So, but that's different from when you're running for presidency, but you're only running for senator. That's a tall task. And for her to attack Trump this much, I would have told her pause with all that Trump shit. Get with the young. I said it before and I'll say it again. Get with the youth. Talk with the youth, and tell them what they need to hear. Starting with the youth, and she's spoken with the youth. She has spoken with young adults. She has definitely spoken with young adults. All realist people. And someone kept saying grassroots. We don't even know who that is anymore. And it ain't FBAs. How can you steal something that never mind. So get with the youth, elderlies, and then of course there's middle-aged people. She's already got, let me see how much of a lead she has. I know she's in the lead. But how much of a lead is she in? Playing this.
Actually has oversight over the Supreme Court, so they can bring them in. And just like you've seen me do my oversight of everybody else, it is only the Senate that has this type of oversight over the Supreme Court to be able to bring them in and to get them to answer questions. And finally, as we are building out these benches, we don't need no more Eileen Cannons, okay, and others that are getting lifetime appointments. So having someone who has the legal background, who has actually practiced law, both in state and federal courts, who knows the questions to ask as we are confirming people to lifetime appointments if we don't go ahead and invoke some sort of term limits. I think it's really important that we have somebody, because we running across some real bad judges like all over, and they're just sitting there, and they're sitting there for life, and truly changing the face of, you know, how we are even interpreting the laws that we are enacting when we finally get something enacted. The final point that I'll make, and then I'm gonna go, because I feel like a Baptist preacher who's been closing for like 50 times, even though I didn't pass around the collection plate. But please, if you feel, you know, inspired, definitely go jasmineforus.com and donate. My team will be so happy that I said that. You know, I think that it is our time. It is our time to flex our power. I don't know how many more opportunities we are going to have to be able to flex our power if we don't start to do it now. And I want you to know that any frustration you feel with current elected officials, whether they are Democrats or Republicans, any frustration that you feel with these very systems that obviously are broken, I share your frustration. You see it play out usually in committee, but I am so scared for our country, and I'm so frustrated that this is where we are. And as someone who has traveled the world on behalf of the United States and spoken to foreign leaders and spoken to foreign assemblies and all the things, I am so very concerned about what this means, not only for our present state, but like going forward. And the quicker and earlier that we can just get people that want to do right, people that aren't so convinced that they need to, you know.
Okay, right now, I don't know what the hell's going on. Hold on. What's going on here? Okay. So far, it's been the same. Crockett is still leading by 51%. So she's only leading by 8. 44, 45, 56, 47, 49, 50, 51. Yeah, she's leading by 8. Others, not worried about others. So like I said, it's a long journey. So we'll see. She could totally become prez. Absolutely. But like, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy by any means. She will have a tough time running. But this Senate thing, I mean, it should be. She should be a piece of cake. Maybe, maybe not. But we're only talking about a Senate seat. 51, she is a more than average over her candidate right now. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, old Charles. But like I said, we got a long way to go. A long way to go in an 11-month span. So we will see. We will definitely see. All right. What other? There's one thing that I wanted to show you real quick before we get up. Wait. I hit the 3-minute mark. Shit. I did hit the 3-minute mark. So I'll probably be doing this shit tomorrow. What did he say? Candidate to drop. First candidate to drop out. It ain't like she paid anybody to drop out. No, she didn't pay anybody to drop out. No. I love Empress Jasmine. She is very transparent. I will definitely support her. God bless her. She needs protection. She needs protection. And definitely, yes, go register to vote. There's early voting in March. Early voting starts in March. And then later on in November, the big honcho begins. All right, people. My time is up. Your time is now. Go on change.org, sign the petition /swearing Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate. Go to vote.org and check in your registration status and be ready to vote. Those who are in your area in Texas, I don't think I can vote. I can vote for the people in my district, but I cannot vote for. What I can do is I can support. Well, we definitely hope and pray that Jasmine is still with us during those times. We'll hope and pray that Jasmine Crockett is still with us during those times, because there are a lot of people, a lot of enemies at this point. A lot of enemies. So if you voting heavy for Jasmine Crockett for U.S. Senate, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. All right, people. I wish y'all farewell until next time. Decent.